Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order at nine. Oh, now start. Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order at 9:30. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by accessing the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public may also attend the meeting in person at the Ilderton Community Centre located at 13168 Ilderton Road in Ilderton. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in a spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. There are no additions to the agenda, so I'm going to ask for any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing no declarations, we can move on to our presentations. And I've just had a thumbs up. Our group from Middlesex Centre, YMCA, is going to be presenting their partnership report. We have Ashta Cruz and Nancy Giffen in attendance on behalf of the YMCA, and I'll look for them on the screen now. There's Nancy. Here we go. Good morning. Good morning, Nancy and Ash. This is the screen is up, so this is the time that the floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Thanks for having us today. I hope everyone's well. So yeah, Nancy and I are really excited to kind of present 2023's results from the Middlesex Centre YMCA at Tunks Lane. We've got a 3-page document that you've obviously got on your screen. The third page is a why story, so we won't go verbatim through that, but we'll probably spend most of our time through the second page, which is more of the data and the statistics of what the results were for 2023, and then we can touch on what 2024 looks like as well. So my name is Ash. I'm the regional manager for the Middlesex Centre Y. I'm sure all of you know Nancy. She's fighting a little bit of a cold, so hopefully she's going to be okay for the call. But if she's a little stuffed up, that's why. So yeah, we can start by touching a little bit just on general kind of KPIs for the center. We finished the year or just under 1,000 members, which is a fantastic recovery from a pre-COVID numbers. We're still kind of measuring as an association, which is now 15 sites across Southwestern Ontario. We're around that 69-70% recovery, and the Middlesex Centre Y is above that. It's hovering around the 72-73% recovery. So we're really pleased with that 1,000-member target. It's kind of where we wanted to be at the end of the year. Yeah, Nancy and her team have done a fantastic job of obviously hitting that target. In terms of access to the building, last year we saw just over 36,000 scans or accesses. That's a combination of obviously members, but also people that are using the track as community users. I don't know the statistics of the breakdown, but I would say over 90-95% are going to be members, and then the rest are going to be made up of those community users that are using the track. As you're obviously all aware, as a charity, we offer the financial assistance program to ensure that members have access to our programs and our amenities, regardless of their household income. And our number of members that are on financial assistance is hovering around that 16%. Now, obviously, there's socioeconomic factors to why that number is what it is. To give some context, our association average is around 35% of our members are on financial assistance. I think based on the community of Kamoka and Kilworth, the average household income is higher than where a lot of our sites are, and that's why that number is a little bit lower than what we would see. As you get into London and some like Sarnia and some other city wise that are not as rural, more urban centers, that financial assistance is bumped up. So we're looking at like 25 to 35% of those sites. I'm going to touch a little bit on engagement, both staff and members in a little bit, but I wanted to pass this on to Nancy to kind of talk a little bit about camp and kind of the results that we've seen from there.
Yeah, so last year we had a really great camp year. We had 592 campers attend our camp, so which was 98% full, which was amazing to see that we were able to support that many children in the community. As well, last year we brought back for the first time since COVID our karate program. And last year we saw about 114 participants in that program. So it was amazing to see kids progress and learn and grow this past year, which was amazing and new from COVID, right? So, and then this year, camp has kicked off with a bang. So in the last couple of weeks, we are already have 581 campers registered for this coming summer. So amazing return from COVID.
Fantastic. So two of the main measures that we look at on a daily, monthly, weekly basis is obviously our contribution and how our budget is performing, but also our engagement. So we do two surveys a year. One is a survey with our staff. One is our survey with members, and they are national surveys. So that's run by the YMCA of Canada as a federation. So we can see obviously apples to apples of how we compare within our association, but also across the country. And then we also have a tool that we use on a daily basis. It's called Listen 360, and it's doing the same sort of thing. It's tracking NPS score. It sends out an email every week to members that have scanned in within the past 7 days, and it surveys them on a scale of 0 to 10 how likely they are to recommend the Y to a friend or family member. And that's just internal in terms of our association. So I can share a couple of those engagement scores here. So when we look at staff engagement, the Middlesex NOI is performing incredibly high. It's an improvement over the 2022 engagement score. We're seeing really good feedback from staff, a Workwell score. Workwell is the company that provides this data, a Workwell score of 82. And that's similar to an NPS. It ranges from a -100 up to a +100. Our top branch was at 98. So Komoka, the Middlesex NOI, is within the top 5 within our association when it comes to staff satisfaction. And as I said, that is an improvement over year. And then when we look at member engagement, again, across the country, Workwell is the company that does that again. And the Komoka Y is sitting at a score of 89. We know that the top score in the country is 93, which is also one of our branches. So I would be pretty confident to say that Komoka was in the top 5 to 10 within the country when it comes to member satisfaction. So we're really pleased with that. And that's kind of supported through our Listen 360 data, which is our daily data. A 65 NPS score for for the year of 2023. Again, top 4 within our association with those scores. So overall satisfaction of both staff and Nancy's team and also the members that are coming into the building is incredibly high. And especially when we compare it to the rest of the country, we're up there with the top, I would say 5 to 10. And then obviously the other, which is the most important metric for a lot of us, is our contribution in our budget. So last year, an annual contribution of just under 200,000, with kind of all of the camp contribution and obviously the management fee. We're looking at a $66,000 check that the Y is going to be writing to the municipality, which is obviously something we're very proud of. This year we've got an aggressive budget. We're looking at a contribution again of over $100,000. We're hoping to obviously camp is a big part of that, and we're obviously already where we want to be with members, so we're confident in actually hitting that goal again. So nothing but good news. I can personally say, as Nancy's supervisor, she's doing an absolutely incredible job. Her ability to run that branch with expense management and staff engagement and member engagement top of mind is phenomenal. She's got a great right-hand person with Mel, who looks after the membership and fitness departments there and does again a phenomenal job with managing her team and obviously the engagement of the members alongside that. And then anecdotally, I think like I have the privilege of seeing a lot of branches, and I think with 1,000 members, there's a few of our branches that are hovering around that 1,000 members, and none of them have the ability to know names and talk to their members the way that Nancy, Mel, and their team does. I think it's testament to the fact that they build relationships quickly, are obviously engaged in that community, both living close by or in that community as well. And yeah, we definitely use the Komoka Y as kind of the poster child for when we talk about member engagement and customer service. So yeah, I think that's hopefully that gives a good overview. As I said, the third page we'll leave with you to kind of read in your own time because it's quite lengthy. Maybe throw it over to Nancy just briefly to talk a little bit about the hours because that has changed over the last little bit, and then we can probably open up for questions if you have any.
Yeah, so last year when we chatted with you guys, there was a bit of concern in extending our operating hours. We did have a bit of staffing issues. So this year we have extended an extra hour. So we're open instead of 8, we're open till 9. We were able to secure staffing, still working on that morning portion. But definitely happy members that were able to extend their hours. And then just a little bit of a side note, we will start our camp hiring soon. So we're also looking to hire 9 local youth for this summer camp. So looking forward to helping the community with that as well.
Okay, well, yeah, we're happy to answer any questions, obviously, that you may have and share any more data that you might want us to dig into a little bit deeper.
Thank you for that presentation. It is a glowing report. I'm going to look to council first to ask any questions they may have. I'll start with Deputy Mayor Syrian Councillor Cates.
Thank you. Just a quick question. The walking trail that the public can use, are there certain hours they can use that walking trail or can they use it whenever the way is open?
So the walking track hours are Monday through Friday, 11 till 1, and anyone can use it between that time from 11 to 1.
Follow to Scott. The money that we receive from the partnership, does it maybe tell does it a reserve fund for future purchase of equipment or what happens to that?
So many of the received back each year. There will be a council report coming at the next council meeting on that. But it does actually go into just operations for within community services. And when we do fund any new equipment, it does come from our building and facility reserve fund. In addition to the amount that we receive back, we also donate 10% of that back to the YMCA Strong Kids campaign each year.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say good job. My little 4-year-old grandson has been coming to the PD day and over the Christmas holidays, and he absolutely loves it, and he'll be coming to camp. So thank you for taking good care of him. He's having a great time.
That's great to hear.
Is there anyone else? Well, I'll just add, Mike, congratulations then. The report that you've presented is glowing, and then the hard work that you're putting into the community is obviously paying off. So congratulations on that. And I just did have one quick question. A lot of the numbers suggest that you're 98% full or the capacity might be a conversation that needs to be had down the road. How do you handle that, or what is the plan then if you're getting a lot more, say, kids wanting to sign up for programs, especially those camps in the summer? Is there an opportunity to expand that or grow that, or I don't know if you can comment on that at this point in time, but.
Definitely conversations being had. This year is a little bit limiting with space, but it's definitely something Ash and I will look forward to next year to be able to grow the camp.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, thank you again then, and Nancy, I think it's great that we have virtual opportunities, at least you're able to speak to us and tell us about the work, and thank you, Ash, for all your overview and comments. We'll look forward to our next report from you, and have a great summer. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, Scott, did you want to comment on this? I forgot. I wanted to check in about the partnership or anything that you wanted to add.
Yeah, through the mayor. Just on a couple things. We are reinvesting in this budget year. Just a little over $30,000 just to put back into new equipment, updating that. So we do work hard with our Y partners to make sure that equipment is up to date and renewed on a timely basis, and certainly keeping up with the trends in the industry and so on. One of the things to note, we're actually meeting with Ash and Nancy and Soy next week to discuss the partnership with the youth center in Kamoka. So as you know, through the Healthy Communities Initiative grant, you're awarded funds to initiate a youth center. We've had conversations with our partners, and they're eager to work with us. So we're going to work through the fine details on that. So more to come on that, but that's an exciting opportunity. I think it's proximity to the wellness center, and you talk about supplementing the camps, and there's some broader opportunities there that we can work through. So we're excited for that.
Thank you for that. That's really good news to be able to expand that to different age groups and just deliver better service to all of our residents. So thank you very much again, and thank you for that. Sorry, I meant to do that before I asked Michael about that. Okay, so we can now move on to the minutes of January 24th. The motion before us is that the minutes of the Middlesex Center Council meeting held on the 24th of January be adopted as printed. Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay. We've got a motion here to table the items. And the motion is that items 7.1 through 7.4 listed on the February 7th, 2024 agenda be adopted as recommended. Could I have a move that, please? Yeah. I just want to table it and we'll open it up then. Yep. Councillor Arts and Councillor Cates. And go ahead, Councillor Bruce, you've got a question.
There we go. I think okay. You should. Okay. So the question is, does the Ontario Energy Board just regulate rates, or do they set overall policy and then the independent electricity operator operates the grid, but also goes out and seeks sources of power? Can you talk to that?
Through the chair to Councillor Burris, I think you just answered your. Yeah. So the IESO is in charge of ensuring that we have a stable system to supply electricity and power for Ontarians. The OEB sets the rates across the board.
The comment that it looks like we can talk about. Remember, there's an Enbridge letter in correspondence below, and we can talk about whether we want to support it or not. But in these reports, they're saying, obviously, we're going with green energy, whatever, and nuclear now. But if we want to continue with natural gas, which most of us use, the issue seems to be they have to do carbon sequestration. This is just a comment, but that's all. So don't have anything to say on that. But I remember not too long ago when the Conservatives came in, they canceled all green projects, and then now they've done an about face. Just an example of look into stuff no matter who poses it and see if it's any good before we do anything about it. Okay, that's it. Done pontificating.
And thank you for that. Is there anything else anyone wants to raise or comment on of any of the four items? Okay, don't see any hands and hands up. So in that case, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on now to staff reports. The first item up is the information technologies policy, and who's going to speak? That's right. Okay, go ahead, Tiffany. Present the report, please.
So thank you, through Mayor DeVete. Today we do also have Chris Bailey, the Director of Information Technology at the County of Middlesex, that is also joining us in council. He'll be on Zoom on the call. So if you do have any technical questions on any of the policies, Chris can jump in and help us answer any of those. So in front of you, you have the information technology policy report. It is pretty lengthy with all the policies attached. I will just highlight some updated changes. So this report, we did look at updating a significant amount of our policies. There's two aspects to this, one being our information technology policies, the other being any of the other our HR policies or corporate policies that touch on information technology. So as council can remember from November of 2023, we did work with a consultant, HR Downloads, in 2023 looking at our human resource policies. Two of those policies were identified as information technology, and we were completed as part of this review. That would be our right to disconnect policy and the electronic monitoring policy. Both of these policies have been updated, however, only administrative changes have been made. The next policy, being our social media policy, is a corporate policy that also touches on information technology. This was also reviewed as part of this review, and only administrative changes were done as well. Now taking us to a more information technology policy. In the past, our municipality has 5 policies that touch on information technology. Only 4 of those were reviewed as part of this review. 1 will be done later on this year. These policies were reviewed and touched on as part of our 2022 IT master plan. We worked closely with the county and the Director of Information Technology Services in order to update based on the county updating their information technology policies as well. So those 4 policies were updated, and there were some specific updates that were discussed later on in this report, as well as you can see on the attached policies. Also coming from this review were 4 new information technology policies that were adopted here at or are put forward to be adopted here at Middlesex Center as well. Those would be the wireless access policy, information security policy, malware protection policy, and information technology access control policy. These are all new policies, and we do suggest that staff and council take the time to read through these in detail. The changes are also outlined below. There are some policies as well that are only approved at the county level that the municipality will follow, as the county provides that third-party support for our information technology services here for Middlesex Center. And these will be approved at the county level, but followed for Middlesex Center. At this time, I'm not going to go into any of the details on the policies. I'm going to open up the floor to council to address any of the questions or concerns that you may have, and then we can dive into any specific policies that you'd like to discuss.
Thank you for that presentation. There is a lot of content. Okay, I'll start with you, Councillor Bruce.
Mine doesn't specifically deal with the policies, and I can either ask it or not, but has to do with, maybe he can talk about how we're protected from cyber attacks. That comes from the county, but the other thing I often wondered about is it's either going to be him or it's going to be Rob Cascadden. What about our water and wastewater systems? Like, we have SCADA out there. We manage them electronically. How secure are they? That could be dangerous if somebody hacked in there and did something. So those are my 2 questions, one for the county and maybe one for Rob, or we ask him at another time. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Chris, do you want to tackle some of that? I know some of that isn't got this policy, but if you want to answer the question in a maybe brief way.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the mayor to the councillor, I will say policies really are kind of the first line of defense from a cybersecurity perspective. Really just outlines the proper use of the technologies. In terms of how we're mitigating cyber threats at the municipality, there are a lot of things to discuss. I could come back with a report on that if that's something that you like. I could talk probably for an hour or 2 to all of you right now about that. There are a number of layers in in place that mitigate those risks, from things like firewalls to multi-factor authentication. We also have a third-party security monitoring service, which basically 24/7, 365 monitors things that are happening on the network. Should something come up, it's automatically blocked and the IT department is notified, in which case a ticket's generated and then we follow up on that ticket. That's a fairly new service that we've implemented, working closely with Tiffany and Michael. It's been very successful so far. We also use it at the county, and we use it at 5 of the other local municipalities that Middlesex County supports. Of course, antivirus has been a common thing that everyone's heard of. That's implemented across the board on all your systems as well. But I will say over the past 18 months, we've definitely made some really big strides in terms of mitigating those effects and mitigating those cyber risks for sure. I can expand more if you'd like some more information from the counselor. I can't speak to the SCADA side of things. That would be a Rob question, as Middlesex IT does not support your SCADA networks.
Could I ask for that? I don't know if council would support it, but rather than you talk about it here, and I realize these are policies, I wouldn't mind knowing what we're doing to protect ourselves, because it's a rather big issue. As you saw, the City of London library systems hacked out and they're still not up. That's different than what we do, for sure. They're a little, I would say, loosier than what we are. But if it's not too much work, I wouldn't mind reading it and seeing how are we protected from this, so we can talk to people about it. Is that possible? No.
I'd like the CEO to respond.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Through the chair to Councillor Burrs, and our Director of Corporate Services can assist me, and we have our Director of IT on the line. But as Chris mentioned, we do have proper protocols in place with respect to managing any potential attacks that may occur. As Chris noted, we have a company that does third-party oversight. That's something we newly implemented. We have firewalls that are in place. We have also cyber insurance. So we have a number of protocols to ensure that we do the best we can to provide a safe operating system. So at this point, if council would like a further proper staff report, information report, we can do so. But my response is that we are doing our best we can to make sure that we have a safe system to which we can operate in.
For me, yeah, I wouldn't mind the report from the county director, just to see what do we have in place. I understand I think we're in pretty good shape. So now if that's possible, can I swing it over to Rob on the wastewater system?
Okay, so we're talking about policy today. If we're going to talk about security, then that will come back in a report if council wishes to. Yeah, okay.
Or do you want to issue a report? Not today.
So we're not talking about security today. We're talking about policy. Okay. All right, so we can take direction from council if they would like. So do we do that now or do we do that? Okay, so do you want to make a motion then, Councillor Burrs? Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Deputy Mayor Brennan, I'll call a vote on that now.
We'll just restate that.
Oh, yes, do the wording part. Thank you.
Through the chair, thank you. So the motion on the floor this time is that staff be directed to prepare with respect to the information technology security and Middlesex Center, and that staff come back to council.
A question from Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Chris, if we go through a report listing all of the measures we do to secure something, are we opening the door for somebody to see what our systems are to try to go?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Arts, the direction that we've received will be a closed session report. It's the security of the property of the municipality under the section 239. So we can do it. Staff can do a report based on council direction, and it'll be done in closed session for that main reason.
Okay, so we have a motion before us. I'll call a vote. All of those in favor for the presentation? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, so the time to be determined by staff according to the agendas, and we'll see that when we get back. Is there anything else for the Director of IT on this policy? I don't see any hands. So thank you, Chris, for coming and being available to present and
clarify. And thank you, Tiffany, for the report. If there's nothing else, we have the motion before us, which is that. Here it is. 8.1, that report CPS 06/2024 regarding information technology policies be received, and that council endorse the updated policies attached as appendices A1 through A7, and further that council endorse the new policies attached as appendices A8 through A11. Is there a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you, everyone. And we can now move on to A2, the Transportation Master Plan. And I'll look to Rob. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to Council. So I'm pleased to provide this report that's kind of a culmination of work over the last year and a half. And Andrew is here today to assist and answer any questions at the end of the presentation. So this started off back in June of 2022 when the proposal was awarded to IBI, or was now Arcadis, to undertake the work. And so today we're looking for council's endorsement of the Transportation Master Plan, which will allow us to commence the 30-day review period that's a requirement of the Class EA process. So as you all know, master plans are long-range plans which integrate infrastructure requirements over a long period of time, looking at future needs and current needs, and integrate that with our environmental planning process. So the Transportation Master Plan, it really was to review the needs and justification for us to invest in transportation infrastructure over the next 20 to 25 years. The time frame, the horizon is 2046. So essentially we're 22 to 23 years from the current period. And it looked at transportation infrastructure, which includes rural and urban roads, which is kind of the first thing that comes to mind. But it also includes walking and cycling network, looks at safety, transit, and parking, among other needs. Some current needs would be something like electric vehicle charging, which is a newer thing. The Transportation Master Plan followed the approach of one of the municipal Class EA assessment, which that integrates it with the Class EA assessment process, which fulfills phases 1 and 2 for the EA process, which is good for projects that are considered Class A and B. The only project coming out of this that requires a Schedule C would be the interchange with the 402. If that, with Carriage Road and the 402, if that project was to go forward, though, it's fully expected that that would be undertaken by the MTO, and they have their own Class EA process that they would go through for that work. So during the process, there was consultation with council, residents, First Nations, and other stakeholders. We had a couple of public meetings to get feedback and coordinate their comments and take that into consideration throughout the report. Transportation Master Plan also had consideration for plans of existing neighboring municipalities, as well as provincial considerations, county considerations, and then considerations for our own existing policies and plans that we have in place. A couple key things of the study that I want to point out is the vision and goal of the study. So I'm just going to kind of read something verbatim here, as I think it's important. The vision of the Transportation Master Plan is that the transportation networks and services will provide the connectivity needed to move people and goods within, to, and from our communities safely, reliably, and efficiently, while supporting a strong quality of life for Middlesex City residents, reducing negative environmental impacts, and exercising municipal fiscal responsibility. So from this vision, 3 overarching goals were identified that touch on all aspects of the master plan. So one was to be sensitive to local character and quality of life, protect the natural environment, to exercise fiscal responsibility. And then from that, there was 3 mode-specific actions that were identified, which is to provide safe and efficient connectivity, promotes healthy local mobility, and supports local industry. So I think this was a kind of a great framework for the development of the master plan. So the master plan then also does work to set out project and policy recommendations. And so we do have a number of policies in place, such as the Trails Master Plan, but it recommends updates to that master plan, as well as some other updates, and also recommends some additional studies or strategies. A good example of one is the parking and EV study which again is something newer with the electrical vehicle role. As I touched on earlier, there was 2 rounds of public engagement and 1 stakeholder consultation that were held, in addition to online surveys, and some mapping tools that were provided to the public as well. So we did get a reasonable amount of feedback. We were pleased with what we received. Certainly the amount of feedback wasn't as intense as it was with the servicing master plan, but we were so pleased with the responses provided. So overall, the plan will support transportation, including the movement of people and goods by all travel modes, car, truck, rail, public transit, cycling, walking, and more. And it gives us a good planning framework forward for the next 20 years. If you look at the chart, the total projected cost for the time frame is $42 million. That does include 8.3 million, which is an estimated 1/3 cost of the 402 interchange at Carriage Road. So the average cost over that time frame is just under $2 million per year, which I'll make one little correction. Says it excludes the 402 interchange, but it actually includes that 8.3 million of it, or the 1/3 cost. So if that doesn't happen, that dollar value does come down. One thing I would note too is that a number of the projects that are listed in the chart are projects that have been identified already, such as the Glen Drive improvements, or collector road upgrades. There are additional upgrades that have been projected over the ones that we have already planned, but it is an ongoing cycle that we have been doing over the last number of years, where we're upgrading collector roads as required. So this would be a kind of a continuation of that. So the big items are the Glen Drive improvements, collector road upgrades, cycling routes, and then of course the interchange. And those 4 together make up the bulk of the expenditures over 20 years. So of course, any future projects will be included in future budget discussions for council consideration, and then costs will be updated accordingly. Overall, I think this gives us a great framework forward to proceed, and great planning to plan our projects forward for the next 20 years. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and Andrew's here as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. There's a lot of content in there. I'll look to council for questions then. I'll start with you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our cycling strategy, do we look at what the county's doing and then try to tie those in with the county so that there's no overlap, or it connects with the county, so we're not putting bicycle lanes where it doesn't go anywhere?
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor, yes, we do take into consideration the county cycling master plan. We did use that as the basis for forming our plan and identifying routes. I would say it generally follows that plan that was previously approved by the county in 2018.
Other questions? Councillor, go ahead, Councillor.
Through the Madam Mayor to Andrew, Rob stated this is a framework. So it's a base, but things are subject to change. So I just want to clarify that. Like, somebody might see something in here and think, why isn't it done? It could be done, but it might not be done.
Through the chair to Councillor Arts, that is correct. Everything identified in here would be subject to council approval through budget discussions. So it's not that it has to be done. These are things that we would like to be done over the preceding 20 years to build on the feedback from the community.
Councillor Heffernan.
Through the chair to Andrew and Rob. I like the report overall. I'm just wondering, what is the default speed on gravel roads or any road within the municipality?
Through the chair to Councillor Heffernan, the default speed is set by the Highway Traffic Act. So urban areas, the default speed is 50 kilometers an hour. Outside of urban areas, including gravel roads, would be 80 kilometers an hour.
So I didn't hear the actual speed.
So the default speed for urban areas is 50 kilometers an hour, and the default speed for areas outside of urban areas is 80 kilometers an hour. And that speed is set by the Highway Traffic Act. It can be amended by council through bylaw amendments.
Okay, thank you. Just concerned with, for example, in the gravel roads, if it's 80, like you've got people potentially slipping around. I think most residents don't necessarily travel that speed. The people that have had their roads changed, who have wanted to get rid of gravel, have had their roads changed to asphalt. And then they wish it hadn't happened, because then everybody's speeding down the road, and even like where the curve was taken out in lesson, then of course the speeders come out again, and that is an issue for everywhere actually in the municipality. But I just wondered if there's any mechanism to reduce the speeds on gravel roads, particularly where there's a number of houses, so residents are walking there as well. In fact, I'm 12 now, but the trail comes out there, and there's a lot of walkers there, and some of the traffic goes really fast, so I don't know what is involved in reducing the speeds there to something like 60. Just a comment that might work well. Overall, of course, we had to deal with speeding a little bit, and I really don't get it, but people just ignore stop signs and ignore the posted signs. So I know you're doing what you can, but I don't know about that one. One of the things that you had mentioned is safe and efficient connectivity within the report. I don't think there's a sidewalk on the east side of Arva on Highway 4 going into London. I think it stops. I forget what that street is, but I think it stops there. That might be something to consider because a lot of students walk down there, and they're going down to the mall, of course. And I do like in Coastal Papa Hill, the speed limit is 50, and they have paved shoulders, and a lot of people in that area, because there's no sidewalks, they use the paved shoulders, and so that is really good, and I would like to see that more, which I realize is what your plan is overall, just as roads get done. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Councillor Cates?
Thank you, through Madam Mayor, to Rob and Andrew. Great report, so many lots of details. I was happy to see, I don't know, it was like you just touched on all these different things that were, make up a big part of it, which obviously is the point of the whole thing. I like the vision. The one of the things is that I was happy to see the passenger service, the section on the passenger service and the Middlesex Center and vicinity. Because I know there's the County Connects and it sort of does that whole section, but there is the bus that comes through Strathroy, through to Kamoka, and so I from what you've written, that maybe we can emphasize that a little bit more. Not where, it's not that it's County Connect, but whatever passenger service that's there. Nice, the speed and the safety, the cycling, like a lot of those things you do hear about every day. So it was good to see all of that. And I like the sidewalk infill plan that you have. So just, I just wanted to acknowledge the good work that you did and how it touches on so many things. And sadly, it's 20 years. Can we shorten that a little bit? Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, I don't see any hands.
I'll just add my thanks for the report. It's always good to see where we're headed and how it all fits together. Having that makes it easier to explain to residents too that there is a plan, it's orderly, it relates to what will be happening in different areas. So thank you for that. The motion before us is the council receive for information report PWE 02/2024 regarding transportation master plan, and that council endorses transportation master plan in principle, and further that the transportation master plan be placed on the record for 30-day review. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burrs and Councillor Heffernan, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to our last report today, it's the Middlesex County Police Services Board, Council Representative and Implementation Process. I'll turn it over to our CEO.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair to members of council, before you is a staff report with respect to a change in legislation for our Community Safety and Policing Act. Correspondence was received from the ministry, which is appended to the report that specifies that this legislation is to come into full force and effect on April the 1st. And as such, council has received a number of reports dating back to 2020 when the topic first originated. And so with April 1st coming, administration from the lower tier municipalities have come together to start planning the process to put a police service board together for Middlesex County. Currently, there is a police board, which is in Thames Center that operates. That board will become defunct come March 30th. And police services board representative of the county will come into force and effect in April. So some logistical pieces have to come into play for that to happen. First and foremost, as you can see as one of the attachments to the staff report, is the council representation. We're mandated by legislation to have representation, and the ministry has approved the composition to the board as it relates to the council representation, with Middlesex Center having one member. So the staff report before you suggests the appointment of the deputy mayor as the council representative to the police services board in Middlesex County. So that is one piece of the representative picture. Secondly, the administration and the area clerks of the lower tier municipalities are working together cooperatively to then put out an advertisement for the 2 citizen representatives that will be across the board. And the sequence of steps is that the council representatives are being appointed as we speak, with council reports going to the lower tier municipalities. That will then enable the board to come together sometime in the spring, not necessarily right on April 1st, where that will give us time to then collect and collate the interest from the citizen representatives who want to come forward. And the 4 members of the board can then come and meet and select the 2 representatives, and then the board can then be off to the races. So just some logistical pieces that we're working on as we speak, as we prepare for this board to come together sometime we envision in spring. A couple other points of interest is that Middlesex Center, along with Thames Center being the 2 larger of the lower tier municipalities, will be taking the initiative from an administrative secretarial standpoint. So a lot of work being done from our municipal clerk, and James working with his counterparts are working together to make sure that we can provide that support. We envision, as the staff report notes, that the board will meet on a quarterly basis, so 3 to 4 times per year. So not too onerous, but at the same time, work that we need to keep in mind. And then with that, we'll have more clarity with respect to financial implications. We have agreed that the costs to administer this board will be done on a population representative basis, so that it's equal and from an equitable standpoint, fair for the representatives that are taking part in this board. And I think that's the general overview at this point in time in terms of where we stand. More information will be forthcoming as this board continues to come together. But at this point, we are looking for a recommendation so that the first piece is confirmed, which will be done by the end of the month from all 4 representatives from the lower tier municipalities. And I'm happy to take any questions at this point.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. I'll look to members of council for questions on the new police board. I don't see anything. In that case, there is a motion before us. That report CAO number 2, 2024 regarding Middlesex County Police Services Board, Council Representative and implementation process be received, and that Deputy Mayor John Brennan be appointed as the Middlesex Center representative to the Middlesex County Police Services Board for the remainder of the council term. And further, that staff be directed to report back on the implementation and appointment process of community members to the Middlesex County Police Services Board. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Cates and Councillor Burrs, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. All right, no notices of motion. We do have 5 correspondence items. Is there anything anyone wants to highlight or speak to? Yes, Councillor Burrs, the floor.
Oops, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's more here than in the letter. I did look to the CAO just sort of maybe speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, there is a little bit more information that before we go ahead and provide some support behind it, if you want to give a chance for perhaps myself to do a report and I can append it, this information to give more rationale and justification on whether it makes sense to go ahead and support the letter from.
Do we need a motion to get that report done? No. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll look forward to that then. Is there anything else in that list there? I don't see any hands. In that case, the motion before us is that council for the municipality of Middlesex Center receives the correspondence items 10.1 through 10.5 listed on the February 7, 2024 agenda as information. Do I have a mover, please? And a seconder, Councillor Cates, Councillor Heffernan, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, under other business, I was negligent in providing a report during Christmas, so I'll just let you know what happened in January. Our staff was recognized for their contributions to making sure that all residents can access our activities centers. So Komoka Wellness Center was awarded recognition from the Alzheimer's Society. That was on the 4th of January, so that was a great event. And then as Ward and I attended the ribbon cutting ceremony in Southwest Middlesex on the 6th of January. And then following our first council meeting, we had a chance to tour the new multi-unit housing building that's located almost next door to our current council chambers here in Ilderton. So that was, I think, something we all appreciated. Was, I think, a good tour, and really nice to see how units are being created that will meet the needs, a gap in our market. On the 11th, I attended the Middlesex Elementary Panel Attendance Area Review Subcommittee meeting for Delaware Central Public School, and that was virtual, but there were a number of parents there who were asking questions and trying to provide information to our representatives on the board. On the 12th, there was a special Western Ontario Wardens Council meeting, and that was my first one. I won't talk about what we talked about. Anyway, then on the 15th, we continued with the county budget, and that was the first meeting we'd had since the end of the year. And then after that, I went to the Lake Huron Water Board meeting. And then on the 16th, the County Library Board meeting preceded our council meeting, so that was the first one I attended there. The Accessibility Committee meeting, which had its introductory meeting with the Executive Director of WOWC, was held on the 17th, and then on the 18th, I went to the Western Fair Board orientation session, and then to the regular monthly Middlesex London Health Board meetings. And the 19th, Ilderton Curling Club hosted another curling event this year, and this year they welcomed participants, and it was a 4-stick tournament, and that meant that it was totally accessible. And we're one of the very few curling arenas that are able to have a 4-stick or a totally accessible kind of tournament. So it was really great to meet everyone who was there and welcome everyone. It was good fun. And then on the 20th, I left for the Roma conference, and I got back on the 23rd in the afternoons because we had a council meeting on the 24th. And then on the 25th day, on the 20th, Thursday, the next day, the Ontario Library Association conference started in Toronto, and I skipped out of that for a couple of hours to go to the AMO meeting. And then I went back, and then we got back on Saturday after the training sessions for new board members. I want to highlight that Casey Lyle, who is one of the library staff in Strathroy, published a new book. And this conference, it just takes your breath away. It's just hard to explain how many presentations, all the various topics that they have. But they also have a book fair. So all of the people who have new books are there promoting them and signing them. So Casey was there and getting her book signed. So that was really nice. Just in case anyone's interested, the book is a children's book. It's called Gnome, G-N-O-M-E is where the heart is. And then on Tuesday, the last meeting on the 30th of Tuesday, last budget meeting at the county was held. So that will be presented at the upcoming council meeting. And then on 31st, probably you've seen it in the news, but Caradoc Place, which is a new higher density building with affordable units. And it was opened officially in Mount Bridges, and Mayor Colin Grantham and the Housing Board Corporation Chair, Councillor Donna Pammer was also there. So that was a well-attended event. There were a lot of people in the community, especially seniors, who were attending that. So I think it speaks to the need. That's my report. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much. So with that, we need to, next page, move into closed session. And that motion before us is that council for the Municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourn to closed session at 10:26 pursuant to section 239(2) of Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. Under section 239 3.1, a meeting of council or local board or of a committee of either of them may be closed to the public if the following conditions are both satisfied. First, that the meeting is held for the purpose of educating or training the members. And second, at the meeting, no member discusses or otherwise deals with any matter in any way that materially advances the business or decision-making of the council, local board, or committee. And this is the Integrity Commissioner Education and Training Session. Do I have a mover, please? In a second. Councillor Burrs, Deputy Mayor Brennan, all in favor? And that is carried. So we'll wait till